if you look at the demographics of these various Arab countries that are supposedly making peace with Israel right now, all of that's happening entirely at the leadership level. There's very little popular support in those Arab countries for any kind of relationship with Israel, let alone an alliance with Israel. For example, in Saudi Arabia, it's something like 2%. 2% of Saudis support a relationship with Israel. At the highest throughout the Arab world, it gets to a little less than 20%.
A quick question. Would you say that the kings in those areas, like the Saudi kings, are afraid of their own people rising against them if they show favoritism towards Israel, especially like right now?
Well, yeah, I think they're very nervous. But at the same time, they want security guarantees from America, and America is in a lot of cases brokering these relationships. But my point is this, that yes, there are various metrics that you can use to gauge what degree of support there might be for Israel among the Iranian people. It's a conservative estimate to say that 60% of the electorate and maybe close to 75% of Iranians want a normal relationship with Israel, and more than half of the Iranians probably want an alliance with Israel. And that's
I agree with this. But I could not agree with this more. Iran is very interesting in this way. Exactly as the gentleman says, the Arab countries, the leadership, the elites of these countries, and by Arab countries I mean the Sunni bloc, the KSA, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, the Emirates, all these countries have a very strong relationship with America and with Israel, a security alliance, one that's become warmer and warmer. We have to do like 30 seconds of going back through what happened after the Trump era thaw and the Abraham Accords. I mean, it's all very important, right? You have this open thaw between American-led security alliance, which is Sunni Israel, against the Shiite Iran Yemenite axis, right? With the proxies of Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah, and the Assad regime serving as a kind of crescent, right? So the Americans before Trump and after Trump had been trying to get the Arab world on board with a more open version of
actually existing political, economic, and military alliances in the Levant.
The civil war in Syria and the JCPOA in 2015, the so-called Iran deal, kind of restarted a war between the Persian Empire and the Arabs, right? Mr. Jorjani, you wouldn't disagree with that?
No, I think that's a perfectly legitimate characterization. The only thing I wanted to add to what you were saying, though, is that it's not just that popular support for normalizing relations with Israel is abysmally low in Sunni countries. It's very much the same in these Shiite Arab countries, too. I mean, Iraq.
Absolutely. So we can talk about why that is. Iranians and Israelis never fought a war. My cousins are not fighting your cousins for a small piece of territory in the Levant, right?
Not only have they never fought a war, there's an incredibly deep foundational relationship. The most important historical figure in Iran today, most revered, especially by the youth, is Cyrus the Great. And he's considered the only non-Jewish Moshiach in the Hebrew Bible. I mean, this is a very deep and also Xerxes and what happened with Hadassah or Esther during the reign of Xerxes. These things established a deep foundational relationship in terms of the intertwined heritage of the two peoples.
Right, and I will confirm that the large swaths of the populations of these predominantly Arab countries, from Egypt to Jordan, to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to Iraq, they hate Jews. Why this is the case is an interesting question having to do with French intellectual history of the 19th century, with wars, the British, the Sykes-Picot line, with all sorts of things, with generations of wars between Israelis and Arabs, but also because of the really nasty stuff on the television of Arab majority countries, right? You do have majorities of population in Arab countries who don't like Jews at the very least. And you do have, by all polling, including the Pew polling, the last time I saw it in Iran was about 4 or 5 years ago, but even then it was like 57% of Iranian citizens did not hold anti-Semitic views, not even anti-Israeli, but anti-Semitic views, which made them the least Jew-hating place in the entire Middle East, not even the Levant, which is fascinating, isn't it?
I would say that poll is even significantly off, that it's very hard to get good polling in Iran. And I'd also point to the fact that if you look at the latest round of demonstrations starting a little over a year ago, the demonstrations that started with the murder of Mahsa Amini, these demonstrators are between the ages of 15 and 18 years old, a lot of them. A significant percentage of the hundreds of people who were killed over the 8 months ago, those demonstrations were, quote unquote, children. They were under the age of 18. They were teenagers. And I bet you that generation is predominantly pro-Israel, not just not anti-Semitic. I mean, look, one of their key demonstration slogans was literally "Death to Palestine, long live Israel." This is astonishing when you look at, the demographics.
It's not astonishing, good sir, because not being stupid, being very intelligent, probably, well, not probably, they are intelligent and bright and lucid in their judgments. They understand very well that Hamas and Hezbollah are like really unpleasant death cults, and they are political proxies in the military, economic, and social sense of the Ayatollah's regime, whose function is to kill people far away, and really is a zero-sum game between bread and butter and guns internally for the Persian people, right? You can either pay for social services, or you could send Russian-made armaments to some unpleasant people wearing black masks somewhere far away, fighting for their own little parochial nationalist struggle. Which, if I was a middle class person living in Tehran, I'd be like, what does this have anything to do with me? One, and two, every victory that Hamas or Hezbollah or Assad proxy forces have somewhere else in the Levant probably prolongs this nightmare that I have to live with for another year or so. And that would not be a bad judgment of events.
Undoubtedly, but I think that a red line has been crossed on October 7th, where it's gone from, why is my taxpayer money being wasted, and what the fuck do these people even have anything to do with me, to, oh, Lord, look at what kinds of crimes are being committed in my name. Okay? I mean, the barbarity of what was committed on October 7th that ranks with the, massacres and hostage taking of Daesh, of the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. This is a crime that was committed ultimately in the name of the Iranian people using Iranian taxpayer money, completely organized and authorized by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And so I think that's the crossing of a red line in terms of the Iranian people and what they should be willing to want to be responsible for, and their conscientious responsibility to stand up and denounce that and help to bring about a fundamental change of conditions.